There's like a whole bunch of different experiences. Architects who want to build buildings without building buildings and stuff, you know? Or, you know, even just like renovations in your house where you kind of, with alternate reality, you can see your house, but you also see like an extra layer of the renovations over it or stuff like that. I think there's a lot of different potential. So if I had a lot of money, I don't know, I bet on 10 different projects. I do games, I do architecture, I do entertainment, experience, sports, like a whole bunch of different stuff, and see what happens.
I will actually go for experimental games. So I would like to experiment with a virtual reality, open world, and to some kind of dynamic creation of the world based on your emotion and your feelings.
If I could make a game in VR, well, we do 2D games, so already that's kind of a challenge for us because it's all hand-drawn animation and stuff like that. So we'd have to transition to 3D, and we definitely do something epic, something beautiful, something with emotion, something that VR would make more powerful, you know, that more immersed, so you feel the emotions even more. It makes a stronger connection with the game. So that's the kind of way I think we'd use it.
To be honest, I don't think I've really figured out what the game of my dreams for VR is, because I legitimately think about what Refract should be doing with VR, and we're just starting to get into it with distance, and we've already got something that I think is really cool and exciting, and in working just in a short amount of time, we've already changed our perspective. We've already seen how things worked really well and didn't work. So for me, I'd say right now, the game where you're able to kind of be fully in a physical space and have the right input to be able to walk around and figure out how, not in the character kind of being flown through space, but literally you walking and moving around and having that input to pick stuff up and do stuff. Exploring that, I think, would be the most exciting thing to me. And I think that practicality might become an issue now that everyone has the same exact size room and all of the same parameters. But I think, you know, being able to basically have that clean slate to explore, that type of game where you can pause, you can take a look around. Maybe the world changes around you at certain points and you're constantly having to work to kind of re-understand the new world that you're in. That style of mystery, I think, is something your brain's going to automatically click into and want to figure out. And it'd be really interesting to work on.
Yeah, horror games are so suited to VR. It's insane, and that's why like so many people are doing them right now. But I'm sure 200% that we aren't going to only see horror games on our VR.
Well, currently we are actually looking at VR for Gangbes, but there are probably quite a few different titles that we could work on. Just like the whole idea of the scale, playing with scale in VR is something pretty amazing. So probably something that does that.
I love story-driven games. The games we're doing, Jotun has a very strong story. I think it's super important for the emotional connection with the game. You know the story and have that, and it really helps drive that along. In terms of VR, I don't know, what kind of storytelling? Could you have like several people like in virtual space, each like creating the stories like that, almost like a second life or something? I don't know, man. Who knows the future?
Well, definitely, we believe that it's about the pure coding of the game itself. It's such a different type of control mechanism instead of using like only the controls, because you have to make a combination of how the player is also looking about and how you can make this in a very believable experience. It should really feel, the game should be built in such a way that it should really feel in harmony together.
I think to immerse yourself more into fantasy games or science fiction worlds, to have these crazy interfaces like in different movies and in for instance, or for example, in Mass Effect. Like, I think that would be a great thing to have. Like it's just the experience of using everything around you, like to get that haptic feeling, picking something up and to have it in your hand. Like it can be simple things you do right now in real life to immerse you in that game. Like if you are making a survival game, you have to eat and you really have to get this stuff and have some feeling of that world, some sense for that. That would be great.
It's really the interaction, because what's happening in a lot of these games is that it's somewhat not aligned, it's not in balance, and it's really the fine-tuning of this mechanism of making the VR work well with the game itself, that the player really feels that there are no boundaries, there's like no limitation, nothing is holding the player back.
I would probably move into the forest somewhere and build a big cabin.
Really?
I would probably do what I do now, like smaller games. I don't feel like making big games. I'd obviously start experiment. Wow, I actually don't know. I would probably do the same that I am right now, but not have to worry about the money part, so I could make cuter, artsier, weirder games for a smaller niche audience. Like, maybe gather a bunch of people that I respect and that I look up to and have them help me work on something really, really cool together and see where that leads.
I would go like make the first really core adult game, which is because Oculus first will be like, I think most people will be like a little bit older, so I would go like a hardcore approach, like doing something very core and doing like not a shooter, not a survival game, something way more interesting, but I don't want to go too much into detail. But yeah, I already have like a thought about it and ideas, and it's a current thing right now. Also, in our company, VR is considered because it's the next big thing.
So if I had $1 million, I would essentially try and make something along the lines of, I wish I could remember the name of it, but there's an incredible VR game on one of the mobile ones where essentially one player is trying to defuse a bomb, but they have no idea how to defuse the bomb, and the people outside who don't have their headset on have the instructions on how to, and they're having to feed information back and forth between each other. That to me is just the perfect use of VR. It's absolutely fantastic. I love that kind of stuff. So if I had that much money, I would be prototyping the crap out of all kinds of things like that. Absolutely.
What I want to see is like The Witcher in VR, 3D, movable hands. Use your fists, your hands in the game to interact with objects, to like the exploring game, like even make it more explorable by touching, and this will be insane. Like The Witcher, RPG, Skyrim, these games in VR with complete interaction of body movements, this will be like where I will spend my next holidays for like a long time.
I really love very trippy visuals, so I would probably make something that would look like some sort of dream where people can lose themselves for like 30 minutes, so they can see something that you can't see in real life. I wouldn't be interested in recreating real life things, because I can see real life things when I look outside. I'd rather make things that you can't see in real life. Maybe something in space, which is being done a lot right now, but it's a very good one. Or yeah, something really trippy, really dreamy, with weird shit happening all the time.
Well, I made a prototype called Aboard the Looking Glass, which is a virtual reality game which uses your hands. So if you hold up your left hand in virtual reality and in the real world, it creates a portal to the past, and the right hand creates a portal to the future. So that game's got me a lot of recognition. They won the IndieDevs 3D Jam. I've been talking about it at GDC Europe, so I'd love to turn that into like a full game.
So if I had to develop a game with VR in mind, I would probably go for a game with very intense emotions, like a horror game or a driving game where you drive really fast, rather than something like an RPG, which is just a bit slower. And I think obviously first person works best with VR, So I'd say the most interesting for me would probably be a horror game to make. Yeah.
Things that I've seen so far that really are interesting to me are things about like visibility, using the space that you get, like the spatial awareness that you get with the new VR headsets, and those kind of things are pretty amazing. And I think that would probably interest me the most, like getting something like a stealth game, or getting something that has to do with like hiding and peeking and seeing things, something that's a lot about visibility, I guess.
Like I would try and blend a gameplay format that works well in VR, like some kind of third-person game, or with a load of, with a scene around the player. So if you imagine you're positioned permanently in a seat in the VR game, and you're watching something happen in front of you, maybe on a map or something, but you also have this sort of this world around you. So maybe you're looking at a hologram or something like that, and the base gameplay is in there. But then the world around you is going to change as that gameplay progresses, and maybe the gameplay affects directly what you see close to you. You have RPG interactions kind of thing, and proper cinematic sequences happening around you, as well as having this base gameplay happen. I think that would be really, really cool. And you could make because the games that are most memorable to me are the ones that have the awesome addictive gameplay, but also have the incredibly memorable cinematic experiences and cinematic moments. So tons of examples like that, like Mass Effect, for example.